Every morning she awoke, if possible, by dawn, and got the farm chores finished immediately. There was much to be done now. With Wesley gone, and more than that, ever since the Count had visited, everyone in the area had increased his milk order, so there was no time for self-improvement until well into the afternoon. But then she really set into work, for a good cold bath. Then, while her hair was drying, she won her slave after fixing her figure faults. One of her elbows was just too bony, the opposite wrist not bony enough. In her exercise what remained of her baby fat, little left now, she was nearly 18. And brushed her hair. Her hair was the color of autumn, and it had never been cut. So 1,000 strokes took time, but she didn't mind, because Wesley had never seen it clean like this, and wouldn't he be surprised when he stepped off the boat in America? Her skin was the color of wintry cream, and she scrubbed her every inch well past glistening. That wasn't really much fun, but wouldn't Wesley be pleased how clean she was as she stepped off the boat in America? And very quickly now, her potential began to be realized. From 20th she jumped within 2 weeks to 15th, an unheard of change in such a time. But 3 weeks after that, she was already 9th, and moving. The competition was tremendous now. But the day after she was 9th, a 3-page letter arrived from Wesley in London, and just reading it over put her up to 8th. That was really what was doing it for her more than anything. Her love for Wesley would not stop growing, and people were dazzled when she delivered milk in the morning. Some people were only able to gape at her, but many talked, and those that did found her warmer and gentler than she had ever been before. Even the village girls would nod and smile now, and some of them would ask after Wesley, which was a mistake, unless you happened to have a lot of spare time, because when someone asked Buttercup how Wesley was, well, she told them. She was supreme as usual. He was spectacular. She was singularly fabulous. Oh, she could go on for hours. Sometimes it got a little tough for the listeners to maintain strict attention, but they did their best, since Buttercup loved him so completely, which was why Wesley's death hit her the way it did. He had written to her just before he sailed for America. The Queen's Pride was his ship, and he loved her. That was the way his sentence always went. It is raining today, and I love you. My cold is better, and I love you. Say hello to Horace, and I love you. Like that. Then there were no letters, but that was natural. He was at sea. Then she heard. She came home from delivering the milk, and her parents were wooden. Off the California coast, her father whispered. Her mother whispered, without warning, at night. What? From Buttercup. Pirates, said her father. Buttercup thought she'd better sit down, quiet in the room. He's been taken prisoner, then, Buttercup managed. Her mother made a no. It was Roberts, her father said. The dread pirate Roberts. Oh, Buttercup said. The one who never leaves survivors. Yes, her father said, quiet in the room. Suddenly Buttercup was talking very fast. Was he stabbed? Did he drown? Did they cut his throat asleep? Did they wake him, do you suppose? Perhaps they whipped him dead. She stood up. Then, I'm getting silly. Forgive me. She shook her head, as if the way they got him mattered. Excuse me, please. With that, she hurried to her room. She stayed there many days. At first, her parents tried to lure her, but she would not have it. They took to leaving food outside her room, and took bits and shreds, enough to stay alive. There was never noise inside, no wailing, no bitter sounds. And when at last she came out, her eyes were dry. Her parents stared up from their silent breakfast at her. They both started to rise, but she put a hand out, stopped them. I can care for myself, please. And she set about getting some food. They watched her closely. In point of fact, she never looked as well. She had entered her room as just an impossibly lovely girl. The woman who emerged was a trifle thinner, a great deal wiser, and ocean sadder. This one understood the nature of pain, and beneath the glory of her features there was character. in a sure knowledge of suffering. She was 18. She was the most beautiful woman in 100 years. She didn't seem to care. "You're all right?" her mother asked. Buttercup sipped her cocoa. "Fine," she said. "You sure?" her father wondered. "Yes," Buttercup replied. There was a very long pause. "But I must never love again." She never did.